Does this Panther look like you?
Just switch up BP, bro.
Are you sick and tired of being called the tickle monster? If you answered yes to any of these questions, you're in the right place, because today, I'm gonna teach you how to dive. I'll be going over these tips from simplest to most difficult. First up, height is right. If you watched any of my previous videos, you know how much I emphasize this. You always want to start off every single one of your dives from high ground. Black Panther's wall climb is arguably one of his best abilities, and you should definitely be using it to your advantage. When you're above your enemies, you get to control the flow of the fight, see what's going on from a bird's eye perspective, and choose the perfect time to engage. If you ever played against a good Panther, you know how oppressive it can be, and how little time you have to react. Half the time you're probably wondering, where the hell even is this guy? I'll tell you. Bro is probably just chilling on some random skyscraper, waiting to dive your team at a moment's notice. On to the next topic, target priority. Okay, I gotta make this clear. You are not Wolverine. Do not attack the tanks as Black Panther. I don't care how juicy that Groot looks.
Lord have mercy. We must stay focused,
And
brothers.
there they
We
go.
must stay focused.
Okay, now that you know that you shouldn't go for tanks as Black Panther, let's take a look at what you should do. In this clip, I see their tanks walk out, and I'm patiently waiting for their supports to show. When I lock eyes with their supports, I know it's my time to go. If you need help remembering to go for the supports, just imagine Jeff miraculously steals your cat or something and just shaves all the hair off of it. Your sole purpose as Black Panther is to make the enemy team's supports so miserable, so upset, that they uninstall Marvel Rivals and consider playing Overwatch. Maybe not that last part. Next up, we got the element of surprise! Got your ass. On Black Panther, you always want to keep your enemies on their toes. If the enemy sees or hears you coming, your dive is infinitely weaker. So it's best to dive when your enemy is caught off guard. What I like to say is, if they know you're near, it's time to disappear. Another thing I wanted to mention about surprise. Footsteps, very important. Black Panther walks around like he got two big black anvils strapped to each of his legs. You don't believe me? Take a listen. Even if your headphones were off, you could still probably hear Black Panther walking, due to the sheer magnitude of his cheek clapping. Anyways, there's ways to mitigate the sound of your footsteps. First of all, if you're in the air, you make no sound. A trick I use on flanks is climbing up the side of a building and floating to where I want to go instead of walking. You also make no sound when you're sliding down buildings like this. If your character looks like they're falling but they're not, you're making no sound. For future reference, we'll call this a stall spot. As Panther, the majority of the time you want to be set up in these stall spots. Here's one on Midtown. The last trick I use to mitigate footsteps is by doing this little shimmy. Also, it's important to switch up where you flank from. If you're using the same spot to flank, good players will eventually catch on and anticipate the dive and be better prepared to react to you. You know in the Black Panther movie where Black Panther's in the airplane and he drops down into the jungle, and then those guys shine the light on him and they're like, damn, is that Black Panther? And then Black Panther dives in and he goes, that's exactly how you want to be playing Black Panther. Dive in unseen and hit them right in their peen. Gandhi. Moving along. You guys are probably like, I got a pretty good understanding about dives. Height is right, the element of surprise, target priority, what's the wrong? You know nothing. What good is a dive in if you don't know how to dive out? Number 4, always have an escape plan. As a dive hero, and especially on Black Panther, it's super important to have an escape route plan in case the dive goes south. Common escape routes include Arby's, 7-Eleven, your mom's house. Yo, is this the right script? Common places you can escape to are to high ground, behind a corner, or even back to your own team. Also, this is super important. Pay attention to your cooldowns. You never want to be walking around in the middle of the enemy team waiting for a spear or a kick just to get another reset. That is your sign to skedaddle on out of there. If we take a closer look, I actually had a case of the Panther brain here and considered waiting for that spear to go back in. But we here at Beezii Incorporated are fart smellers, not smart fellas. Wait, what? Since I had the teeny tiniest sense of self-preservation there, I was able to make this play happen.
Wait, invisible one, invisible one. Go rocket, go rocket, go rocket, rocket.
Last but definitely not least, timing. I make a critical mistake in these two clips. Are you able to spot them? If you said dying, congratulations, you're a smartass. Anyways, the answer is that I'm not playing with my team. Now take a look at this clip. Even though I do get 3 picks, my team is nowhere near me, and the enemy is still able to push the cart for free. Timing is more than just coordinating with your team, bro. To be honest, timing is quite nuanced, and I could probably make a full video on timing in and of itself, but for time's sake, get it? I'll try to simplify it and explain it in the easiest way I can. Timing is being able to pick apart key moments in a fight where your dive can make the most impact. Whether it be through kills, making space, or blowing the enemy's defensive cooldowns, having good timing will maximize the amount of value you generate and reduce the chances of you dying in return. I'd say the 2 main things to look out for when timing your engage are enemy defensive cooldowns and when your team is going in or doing damage. I'll show an example of each. Here I have established high ground, the enemy has no idea where I am, and now I'm just waiting for the best time to go in. I noticed here that Cloak put down her bubble, so I'm thinking this is a pretty good time to engage. As I'm going in, I even hear Bucky use his hook, so this is extremely perfect. Even though this dive didn't play out exactly how I wanted it to, I generated a huge amount of pressure, and that eventually led to a pick on Magic. In this clip, I capitalized off Moon Knight's pressure, and eventually that led into a team wipe. At this point, after you get the timing down, it's all about execution. In order to dive perfectly, you just gotta ask yourself, what would T'Challa do? I think he would take the high ground for sure, stay quiet and unseen, and definitely strike when the time is right. And just to wrap up, if you have 1 of 3 of these conditions met, you have yourself a bad dive. 2 out of 3, and it will be decent. 3 out of 3, you'll be deleting fools like a true king. Okay, in this section, I'm going to be answering some of your questions. Bricks7-7 says, I feel like I do these, but the supports just heal each other before I kill them. Am I doing it too slow? Or is it that fine because they are no longer healing their tank? I feel the damage question still isn't answered for me. Okay, I think this clip kinda answers your question. Had I done the combos a little bit faster, I would have killed them all. But since the healers were healing each other instead of the other DPS or tanks, we were able to get a pick. In general though, I definitely say keep up the speed with Panther. It's one of your greatest tools offensively and defensively. Spiral Hero 9260 says, if I'm targeting, let's say, a Luna, and my spear hits 3 people, should I waste my time dashing through everyone, or just dash, spear, kick, dash the Luna to burst her down before she can react or heal herself? I'd say like about 95% of the time you'd want to stick onto the same target. Think of spears that hit multiple targets as kind of like a bonus. You don't have to dash through them, but you can use them as kind of like a safety net if you want to reposition or get out. I'd say the exception to this is if they're all grouped up into one little point and you can do massive AoE damage. Alright, that's gonna be it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed. Since we hit 500 subs, I wanted to try a new format, kind of like a sneak peek for the Panther guide at 1,000 subs. You guys are awesome. Could have never imagined I would have 500 subs, but here we are. If you guys have any questions for me, leave them down in the comments below. I try to respond to every single one. And with that being said, I'll see you all in the next video. Why are you still here? It's not like I'm gonna tell you to comment something.